We're filming to raise awareness of the issues concerned with water contamination. Aquatic pollution can be defined as a contamination of water bodies, mostly through waste pollutants from anthropogenic origins. Pollutants can have devastating effects on plant and animal life, with consequences that can severely damage biological communities. Well-known causes of pollution can include oil spills. Direct oil spills into the ocean can result in high mortality rates in local species in both marine and freshwater environments. Oil can have a devastating effect on aquatic organisms, causing hypothermia, internal physiological damage and decreasing reproductive success. Agricultural runoff from fertilizers, insecticides and pesticides entering bodies of water results in eutrophication due to a rise in nitrogen levels. Nitrogen-rich fertilizers give rise to large bacterial communities with a high oxygen intake, potentially starving other marine species of O2. Organic waste derived from sewage is broken down in treatment plants in which attempts are made to reduce levels of harmful contaminants before releasing it into the environment. The treated water often contains a high concentration of nutrients, potentially causing eutrophication of aquatic biomes. This process can increase algae populations, depriving other marine organisms of essential sunlight. Stormwater runoff contains a wide range of anthropogenic wastes such as chemical contaminants, litter and petroleum products. These contaminants from both urban and rural areas end up in freshwater and marine ecosystems. It is widely assumed that the most detrimental effects of aquatic pollution are caused by the larger scale incidents mentioned. The large scale impacts of waste pollution derived from litter are much less known. 100 million tonnes of plastic is produced each year, of which 10% ends up in the ocean. A large amount of oceanic species feed on zooplankton, which shares surface waters with increasing numbers of minute plastic particles. Fish and birds are prone to consumption of these harmful plastics. Much of this plastic is petroleum-based and non-biodegradable, continually breaking down into smaller pieces until it is consumed by marine organisms or washed ashore. Much of the plastic waste pollution deposited by humans is contained in an area in the Pacific known as trash vortex. In this area, there is an estimated 6 kilos of plastic contaminants for every kilo of naturally occurring plankton. This is not only harmful to plankton consumers. Large items of plastic are also consumed by seabirds and other marine animals. The latest United Nations Environment Programme report have estimated that over 1 million seabirds and 100,000 marine mammals and sea turtles are killed every year as a result. This is not only by consumption of harmful plastics, but also by entanglement from the presence of plastic bags and fishing nets. Littering both nationally and locally can be considered a major contributing factor to aquatic pollution across the UK. Rubbish can end up in storm drains and ditches, from where large quantities can be carried into streams, rivers and lakes. Smoking-related litter is the most prevalent, and in a recent study it was found to be present in 81% of sites surveyed. The density of plastic litter found on UK beaches increased by 146% between 1994 and 2008, with an average of one item for every 50 centimetres of beach. Small pieces of plastic are the most common and can have a huge detrimental effect on local wildlife. 98% of fulmars gulls in the North Sea were found to have plastic in their stomachs, an issue that can have a detrimental effect on physical condition and reproductive success, sometimes even causing death. Large tourist destinations such as Brighton are at a risk of high influx of litter pollution. It is the responsibility of local governing bodies to implement schemes to keep litter pollution under control. Nationally, local authorities spent £885 million on street cleaning between 2009 and 2010. However, many will claim that even with this expenditure, litter pollution is still a major issue in Sussex. We contacted local wetlands expert Dr. Chris Joyce for his opinions on the local state of aquatic pollution. Dr. Joyce says that the main issue with marine pollution locally is from nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphate entering the sea from agricultural land and sewage. This is discharged out into the sea from urban areas without any treatment. This is widespread along the south coast, and it can cause eutrophication, which can be seen particularly in parts of the coast where nutrients tend to be focused, such as estuaries, where flats can be coated in algae. The pollution issue generally seems to be improving due to more sewage works being brought online, such as the ones to treat Brighton's sewage. Attempts at catchment management can also reduce the use of fertilisers and runoff from such facilities. Tackling water pollution in and around Brighton is the responsibility of the Environment Agency. They test the coastal waters of the area once a month between May and September and host the results on their website in both an effort to inform the public about potentially dangerous pollutants in the area, as well as to educate about local pollution issues. West Sussex County Council claim that the water quality in the area has improved significantly over recent years since the introduction of the Water Framework Directive, implemented across Europe to discern the ecological quality of water bodies. Work conducted by the Environment Agency in 2009 indicates that 70% of water bodies in the South East are classified as being in moderate ecological condition or above. However, some believe the efforts being made are not enough. Keep Britain Tidy claim that up to a third of British beaches may fail cleanliness tests next year as EU standards are set to be raised. We caught up with a resident of Widewater, a landlocked brackish lagoon in Lancing, West Sussex, for her take on the effect that pollution is having in the area. Can you tell us how long you've been living in the area?
Yeah, we've been here about 15 years.
Yeah. Over that time, do you feel that pollution or littering in the area has had an adverse effect on the quality of water and the level of biodiversity?
I would say so. There's absolutely no patrolling from the council or any other agency in terms of collecting the litter and rubbish that floats down. When we've had a big storm, when there's been a lot of rain, then everything floats down here because, as we said, it is landlocked. So being at the far corner, we get all the stuff that floats down. But if there's any clearing up to do, it has to be done by myself or another resident that's at this end of the Widewater.
Yeah. I understand there used to be a residents group.
There was. It was called FOW, Friends of Widewater Lagoon, and it was a great group, and it ran for many years. I was actually chairperson at one time, but I have to say there were so many petty bylaws and regulations, and we used to meet every month, I think it was, at the council offices, but nothing was ever resolved. It was really very frustrating in the end, because of course bylaws are unenforceable, so that became very difficult. But in fact, some of the funds that were collected, they used to have litter days, and some of the funds that were actually collected resulted in a kiosk being erected on the opposite side of the lagoon, which is, it's very seldom open because some strange fellow's got the key to it and is very possessive about it. But in the kiosk, the idea is that people would look out and observe the wildlife and the birds, and there should be information about different species in there as well.
Cool. Is the council currently doing anything to try and rectify the situation?
Absolutely nothing. The only thing the council have been very excited about recently is employing several people to race up and down the beach on these beach buggies, and they're supposed to be patrolling and looking out for problems, but of course, you know, it's just a bit of a great jolly job for the summer, and obviously, you know, we're paying for it as tax and ratepayers, but they're not actually doing anything useful in terms of looking to see what's happening with the water, which is actually a nature reserve.
As shown in areas such as Widewater and Telscombe Cliffs, it would seem that local Sussex councils are not doing enough to combat litter pollution. While certain areas are kept tidy to promote tourism, others are neglected, causing further damage to delicate areas. Despite local councils throughout the UK spending millions on street cleaning, litter pollution is still a major problem throughout the country. With nearly 1 in 2 people admitting to dropping litter, it is imperative that more and more people are made aware of the damaging effects that litter pollution has on local wildlife so that this figure can be reduced. Pollution from agricultural runoff and sewage is a continuous problem. More must be done to regulate and control further contamination if a high level of biodiversity is to be maintained for future generations to enjoy.